Diane, good to see you.
Hi.
Sarah, mom is here. I'm so excited.
Oh my
Heidi, my
goodness.
sister is here. Sonia, welcome. Hi, Amy.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome everyone. We're
Rebecca's
gonna get
here. Abe's here. I love it's like a family reunion. I love it.
we would welcome
John.
everyone who has a camera available to go ahead and turn it on so we can see your beautiful faces.
Hey, John, welcome. Yelta, great to see you again. It's weird to have seen all these European folks like in the last week.
And we would love to hear from you in the chat. So we will be keeping the chat as like an online guest book for Nate. So anytime throughout today's event, please feel free to share your well wishes and congratulations. And we'll make sure that Nate has that as a lasting record of your support and encouragement on this journey.
Amy, hi there. Hi, Sunday. Mike, welcome. Gloria and Tracy. Wow, all kinds of people. Everyone. Hi, Elena. Diane. Trying to keep up with all the pages. Hey, Margaret.
And we have lots more people coming into the waiting room every moment.
Oh, Monique is here. Oh, Dennis and Michelle. Thank you so much for coming. Wow, Neil's here. Awesome.
So as everyone continues to come into today's meeting, I do want to give you a few technology considerations. As I mentioned, we would love to have you share your camera throughout today's event. And we would request that you remain muted until we invite you later on in today's session to unmute your microphones. We want to maintain the audio integrity of this call, but we promise that later on in our party, you'll have a chance to unmute your microphone and scream and cheer. If you have your book handy, why don't you hold it up? Isn't this gorgeous? It is such an exciting day for the launch of Compassionate Accountability. And I know that Nate has been planning and preparing for this day for many, many weeks and months. And we're so thrilled that you have joined us to celebrate today. And as we're getting started, we do want to engage you with a poll and get to know you just a little bit as we kick off today's party. So if you could let us know, I have made that poll active. Can you let us know what is more challenging for you? Is it compassion or is it accountability? Nate, I wonder if you would want to make a prediction about what people find to be more challenging.
Well, based on general or who all's on the call? 'Cause I know these people.
Yes. Well, I
Uh,
guess whatever data you have, Nate, whatever prediction you want to make.
in general, accountability is harder for people. And I have all these great, amazingly compassionate friends on the call. So I'm going to guess maybe accountability might come out on top on this one.
All right, well, let's take a look and see how sharp Nate is today. It looks like nearly 80% of you think that accountability is more difficult and challenging than compassion. And I am right with all of you on this. So again, as we get started today, I want to remind you of a few technical considerations. The first is that we'd love to continue to see your smiling face. We'd love to have you remain muted to maintain the integrity of the audio quality of this call. Later on, we are going to open up for some Q&A, and we're going to be using the hand raise function. So if you want to look in your reaction panel at the bottom of Zoom and find that hand raise function, that's going to help us call on you when you have questions or congratulations for Nate earlier. It looks like what I just did. I think I raised my hand and then I lowered it. So we are going to invite you later on in the call to ask your questions, to offer your thoughts. So please be considering those as we move throughout today's event. And Nate, I'm going to put the spotlight on you because I know you have some very special guests to introduce.
Yes. Oh, it's wonderful to be here with all of you. I want to give a shout out to my team. And let's see if we can have a picture up. I have a great team photo here coming. Is it up?
We're looking for that, Kira.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, super excited. So this picture was taken like a week ago in in France, in Bordeaux, France. We did a winery tour with our team. And so over on the left is Jamie Rensburg. She's still traveling back. She stayed in Europe to spend some time with her daughter. She's on her way back. Julie there next to me, and then Aaron on the other side. Man, Aaron, you just look like you're having such a good time. But the person having the best time in the picture is Rob in wine country. If you know Rob, you know he's one of wine is his thing. And so he was in heaven there. So I'm so glad to have my team here, and it has definitely been a group effort. Next, should I introduce the speakers?
That would be fantastic, Nate. Did you want to show those other pictures next?
Yes, there we go. So I'm really excited to have a couple special guests here today to say just a little bit about the kind of the history of our relationship and their interactions with this material. But in the upper left corner, this is one of my earliest pictures of Becky. So Becky, who's hosting this, she is the founder of Weaving Influence, who is our publicity firm. This is the third book that we've done together with them, and they have just been partners all the way from the beginning. This was when we had Becky to Kansas to actually do a marketing workshop for our network of trainers. And any of you that remember Sandy, you can see her in the background telling some joke probably, or talking smack on somebody. But Becky has been such a wonderful partner. And then in the lower left is Neil Mallet. Neil is my publisher. And this picture was taken in Oakland, California at the Barrett Kohler publishing house, actually where they are. I went there for my very first author's day for my first book. And Neil's been with me and along by our side from the beginning. I'm so glad to have him here speaking. And then next will be, well, actually then Edith, lower right, Edith Doche. She is from the Netherlands. She manages the PCM distributorship there. This was a picture from when I went and visited Amsterdam, and she showed me the town on bicycles. So she has been both scaring me, inspiring me, inviting me to be better. And she is a great intellectual jousting partner and creative genius. Love having her here. And then in the upper right is Stephanie Hohansey, great friend from the beginning. We have been coming alongside to do cool stuff. This is us serving some hot dogs, I think, at a customer appreciation day, employee appreciation day for the YMCA. We were on the board of directors for that organization, and she is just such a wonderful community partner and doing incredible stuff. So I'm really excited and honored to have Neil, Edith, Stephanie speaking. And then finally will be Julie from our team. You already saw a picture of her. So I'm just going to turn it over to Neil to start.
Well, I feel so honored to be the kind of kicking things off. You know, a fun thing for me when you have a book launch like this is to go back over the origin story of the book, the relationship with the author. And, you know, if you had asked me off the top of my head, said, oh, well, you know, Nate and I met 4 years ago. And then I went back and I said, no, it was like 2016. It's when that picture was taken. And I believe it was Becky was maybe the original catalyst. We were at ATD. And I remember Becky saying, man, this guy's amazing. You really should just go by his booth and you know, say hello. And then I think maybe a few minutes later, Vicky Halsey, who is one of my authors, who's still at Blanchard, Ken Blanchard Companies, she said, you know, you really should check out this guy, Nate. I mean, we've all been taking his assessment at Blanchard. I mean, this thing is amazing, you know, so go over and talk to Nate. And that was really kind of how things got started. You know, one thing led to the other, and then lo and behold, you know, Nate's in our office in Oakland doing his author day. It's a very memorable author day for me. You could kind of hear a pin drop when he talked about, and that, you know, that book was Conflict Without Casualties. And I remember he was telling some various family stories, and you know, I think it's a very rare author who can kind of tell very kind of personal anecdotes like that, yet convey the content of the book. And so that's when I knew Nate was pretty special. You know, the origin story of any book is for editors kind of when we get together, it's like what we love to talk about. How did that book come about? Like, what was the, you know, what started things off? And, you know, compassionate accountability is a core concept in Conflict Without Casualties. So we kind of started things off. Well, do we do a new edition? Conflict Without Casualties, a very, very successful book. I mean, Nate was successful with it before he brought it to Barrett Kohler. Barrett Kohler's been very successful with it. We want a new edition. We still do, by the way, Nate, don't forget. But Nate was like, this concept of compassionate accountability has really kind of taken on a life of its own. It's been, it's in the book, but I get more and more requests for it. It's something I really talk about. And the first thing that popped into my head is a book that Barrett Kohler publishes called Humble Inquiry. Edgar Schein has this very, huge book on organizational, culture. And there's a little piece in there on humble inquiry. And we pulled that piece out and made a book out of it. And now Humble Inquiry has sold many multiples of sales over the original book. So that's really something that immediately popped in my mind here. And I'm really happy to report that that's kind of, I think, what I see happening with compassionate accountability. It's such a strong concept on its own. All of our reviewers love the concept. We always expect one reviewer to absolutely hate. We kind of send our, so I'm happy to report, this is a rare book where we couldn't find a reviewer who really didn't like the concept of the book. And all of the reviewers mentioned, and I just really have to put in a plug for Nate's ability to put himself into these books, yet make them so universal to everybody who's like struggling with these concepts. It's so readable. It's so easy to these are hard concepts, yet Nate's a really rare author who can kind of translate them into language that everybody can identify with. And he's such a compassionate, wonderful person that everybody can see themselves in the book. So proud to be associated with it. It's just like kind of a charmed kind of book, in my opinion. So expecting big things.
Oh, Neil, thank you so much. Thank you. Edith.
Yep, audio. Hi, Nate, and everyone else. But I'm talking to you, Nate, now because I'm so proud of you and of your question for me to say something here in this wonderful, wonderful place of celebration, to have compassionate accountability in a book. And I can truly say, I was thinking, like, when did we first meet? I think it must have been on the Muse School that we met live. It was probably 2012, something 2013. But I must say the real impact on me was in 2016. And maybe we can put the picture up, because this basically says it all. We go through weather and wind as Dutchies. But together with my friend Marcia, I was in the beginning of 2016, you invited me to become a leading out of drama provider. And I was at a very, very tough period in my life at the time, struggling with personal issues in the relationship. It was really tough. And I remember the conversation that we had in December 2012, when you were invited by us to bring in your wonderful inspiration in the PCM community. And we had beers, I think, maybe it was later. I'm not sure if it was the same period. But I remember that was really a pivoting point in my life. Your invitation, you really seeing me and the struggles that I had, and inspiring our community with the tools of compassionate accountability. Also on the drama triangle, of course, with leading out of drama, but mostly like, so what is it that you can do? And I think it saved me, because it saved me from stepping out of the victim role. It saved me from staying too long in a relationship that was not good for me. It saved me, it saved my relationship with my best friend. And it's really compassionate accountability and the tools that you and your team created helped me take my position in my own company. So those are pretty big things. And I think, and I'm absolutely sure, I was talking to Patricia yesterday about it. Like, so what am I going to say? That I'm very grateful that you are in my life, and that so many more people can join this adventure of bringing more compassion into the world, because that is the last thing that I can also add. that my true passion in life is to bring more compassion. And I know that you and your team have a shared life goal in that. And I'm so super proud to be part of that. And I can't wait to have more exciting events on this journey and learning more about the 3 switches. You know, the 3 choices, I think those are also gold or platinum or beyond that. Really thinking about what is it that I want, what is non-negotiable for me. And what I find really cool, and I'm not sure if the next picture made it to the presentation, but I learned something new only already reading the intro, that you were saying like, this is what not compassionate cultures look like. Saying things like be nice, which from my joking point of view is like something that I'm saying to my new boyfriend at the time. Yeah, I learned it's not compassionate, but I think I'm still going to use it, knowing that it's not compassionate, but also knowing that I've got so much more to learn. So congratulations. I'm super proud of you, of being part of the community, and let's, you know, conquer the world together. I think you're on mute, or maybe yeah.
I know there's going to be more events and more beers in our future because we're already talking about it. So thank you so much. It's been a wonderful journey. So now I want to turn it over to Stephanie Hohensi.
Hello. I am so excited about this day. I thought Nate had to be up this morning. I texted him really early just because I was so excited and I knew it was like Christmas for him. So just really excited to see that this is today. With that, I've had the opportunity of working with Nate in several different capacities. I am from the healthcare sector. So it's kind of like I won the golden ticket from Willy Wonka, and I got to live in a community in which Next Element is headquartered. And what a gift that was, because not only did I get to know Nate through some work that we did at the hospital, but I got to know Nate and his wife, like the compassion that they have and they serve in their community. So we sat on a couple boards together, as you've seen earlier, with the YMCA, the Chamber Board, and many other events that we got to work with the community. But I think the most intentional interaction that we had that I have appreciated has been something that has given me a lifelong skill set that I didn't know that I had within inside me. As we worked with our teams on what was PCM, so we worked with different personalities. I will be the first to tell you, when Nate first came in and said, we're going to look at the different personalities and how you interact with them and communicate, I did feel like the eyes were rolling back inside of my head because I had taken all the different assessments. I knew what I was. I knew the type of person I was. But he took it to a level that I never thought was possible, of talking about the types of types in you. So it's not just the type of person you are, it's the type of person, what is in you. And we all have those, but he took the concept of the different personalities and really put it in a meaningful way that I could understand. It's like an apartment building. It's very easy to get to that first floor. It's very easy to use your base personality, but sometimes you have to use energy to get to the second floor, to get to the third floor, and use those personalities that are within you, and to be able to communicate with those that have those personalities as their base. So that has provided such a vast opportunity for us, because we all know as patients, or maybe some healthcare providers that are on this call, that you can't give an assessment to every patient that walks in your door. But what you can do is you can recognize different ways that they talk, the way that their eyes are shaped, or feminization. Botox, I've got the little finger mark. But there's different ways that we can recognize those personalities, and we can do a better job at interacting. And so when seeing people through came out, that just really energized me. We were able to utilize a lot of the PCM information to better serve our patients. So when we're able to communicate on their level with their, not their level, but with their personality, we're able to get more intentional reaction of how they care for themselves. So for an example, when a patient comes in and you're asking them, hey, I want to see you lose 5 pounds. If I said that to a thinker, I would say, hey, I'd really like to see you lose 5 pounds. Do you think you can do that? And that is going to energize me to want to look into how I'm going to lose those 5 pounds. But if I'm a harmonizer and you say that to me, it's really going to hurt my feelings. And you might say something like, I want to see you lose those 5 pounds. How can I help you do that? So as we interacted those different ideas, we were able to take breast cancer screenings from 32% to 73% of the patients were actually engaging in their healthcare. So as we move through that model, and then he's just recently come out with compassion and accountability, it's really just encompassed everything that has led up to the building of where we need to be as leaders. How do you lead? How do you communicate? But now, how can you be compassionate and accountable at the same time? And what do those look like? What do you have to have on inside of you with those different concepts of being valuable, capable, and accountable? So, or I'm sorry, responsible. But I think that I was so excited for Nate and this journey that he's had. And I'm so thankful that all the knowledge, the effort, and all the years of research that he has put into this and given us a roadmap. I'm so excited to get to use it, but I've actually bought some extra copies. We're doing a book club. So Nate, thank you and congratulations. So excited about your day.
Oh, thank you so much. And your note this morning was the first thing I read, made my day. Thank you. Well, it is a unique pleasure and privilege and honor to work with your life partner in a company. So I'm going to turn this over to Julie, my wife, and my business partner at Next Element.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I was just going to say, for those of you who don't know me, I am Nate's wife, Julie Regier. I'd like to mention that Nate and I will be celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary in about 3 weeks. And it's both exciting and pretty unbelievable. Crazy to think, Nate, that we've been together for over 30 years and now working together as well. It's a dream. But we're here to talk about the book. So let's talk about the book. Since the print copies came out several weeks ago, I decided to read through the book again a couple of times. Yes, I did read the book when it was in manuscript form. I've read through it when it was in process and loved it then. But as I'm reading through it now, I continue to be just mind blown by the nuggets of wisdom that I come across. And this is in the second and third reading of this book. It is truly a gem of a leadership book and a life book. Nate, I can't think of a time that I've been more proud of you, except, sorry, I'm going to try not to cry, except for maybe when we became parents and I saw what an amazing dad you were to our 3 daughters. Pretty proud of you then, but I am amazingly proud of you today through all the work that you've put into this. I've seen the evolution of your wisdom. I've seen the evolution of your thought leadership and the impact that you're making in this world by creating this book. So I'm incredibly proud of you. I'm incredibly proud of our Next Element team. Everyone has put their heart and soul into this book, and it's a beautiful creation. Finally, I just want to thank all of you who are here today. Thank you for supporting Nate. Thank you for supporting this book launch. You are all part of this journey with us, and it's making a huge difference in this world. So thank you, Nate, and thank you to all of you that are here.
Love you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julie. And I think that we're all like trying to hold back the emotion of this moment. It is such an important milestone for you, Nate, and for the Next Element team. And we do want to stop and talk for a few minutes about the book and its role in your life and business. But I just want to say thank you for acknowledging our partnership over the last, is it 7 years? When we met at ATD in 2016, it's been such a thrill to watch you move forward with your thought leadership. And I know that this is just the beginning of a new phase for compassionate accountability and it becoming a phrase that people know and use. So I can't wait to see that. So Nate, could you start by sharing with those who have joined today to celebrate about your strategic vision for this book?
Yes, I will. And it's been hinted at so far. When Neil talked about compassionate accountability and those themes coming, we really saw this trending, this concept trending and becoming so important coming out of COVID. And we've been working on these concepts for so many years, and we felt like it was time for us to bring everything together in a book that not only gave practical behaviors, like we hear leaders say, just give me the words. What do I say? Give people that level of granularity, but also address the mindset about how do we have to show up every day? That's a phrase you gave me, Becky, a gift from you. It's how we show up. And so we had to talk about that as well. And we've been evolving this idea of what is compassion for many years, long before those two words were being used by people. We were talking about it. But we also felt like, or we work with organizations a lot, and they needed a strategic implementation roadmap, because for some leaders, they're not down in the trenches on the daily interactions. They have to think strategically and they need tools. And so we wanted a roadmap as well. And so the strategic vision was to give an all-in-one book that starts from the smallest interaction all the way to the biggest strategy for how organizations show up in the world to make a difference. And I just might say this goes back to the original meaning of our name is Next Element. And we chose that word element because it's both the smallest unit of a chemical reaction, which is every single moment, every word, every tone counts. And an element is when you're in your space. When you say, I'm in my element, finally, it's the environment that allows you to thrive. So we hope this book can do both.
Well, speaking of being in your element, Nate, you and I talked recently about the fact that for this book, for the first time, you chose to narrate your own audiobook. And I imagine as you were doing that and bringing these ideas to life through your voice, that you were in your best element. So talk to us a little bit about why you chose to go down that path to narrate your own audiobook this time.
Yes. Well, this is my fourth book, and I figured, maybe it's about time. And I really started percolating on this when I was listening to, and I'm going to give a shout out, everybody go get this book by Brene Brown, Atlas of the Heart. It is transformational. Julie and I were listening to this book on audio as we traveled to and from our Dottie's volleyball games. And there was something so special about getting to know Brene personally by hearing her talk about the concepts. And I thought that would be neat. I know I've written a lot of books, people know my stuff. Maybe I can speak to them this way. But then the clicker for me, or the kicker, was when Rob on our team, when he read the manuscript, he said, Nate, this is the first voice or the first book where I'm hearing you. Like, I think you found your voice. And so
I love that. And I bet for those people who have had the privilege, Nate, of walking alongside you or working with you, to be able to hear your voice as you're reading the book is going to be a powerful experience for all of them. And, I hope that, those people who listen to your podcast will then listen to the book, will hire you to speak. So lots of good things can happen when you narrate your own book and bring your voice to life.
And it was super fun. I didn't know, I was stressed going in, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. It was really a fun process. And the producer was amazing. So
that is awesome. So Nate, as we continue the celebration today, I wonder if you could share with us a bit more about this journey. So what surprised you? What's been the most rewarding? And what are you hearing from those who have read early copies of the book?
Oh, wow. The most surprising thing, I guess, is when people say, yeah, this is a leadership book. But it's actually a book for life. And Julie mentioned it. Adam Barlow Thompson, longtime friend of mine and partner of mine who's on this call, he was one of the people that said it in our podcast. He goes, "This is a book for life." And so we live all of the tools that we write about and think about, we live them in our company and in our lives. And so that's been the most rewarding thing, is to hear, but also people are appreciating that it is both personal, interactive, but also strategically important. And so those are the two things I'm really glad to be hearing.
That is awesome. And Nate, are there any other hopes for the book that you want to share with those who have joined today?
Yeah, we have some big problems to solve in our world right now. And some of the most important initiatives like diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, in a lot of organizations, they're hitting a wall and we don't know what to do next. And I think this book offers a way to do that. I mean, just look around. There's so much drama. And I just think that we have got to equip our leaders to be part of the solution. And so we have big, big, big dreams for this.
Amazing. Thank you. I just noticed that Rob Wirt joined. So welcome, Rob. All right. So we have come to a very important part of today's party. We want to let you know how you can get involved in spreading the word about compassionate accountability to those who need to hear it, whether it's for their personal journeys or in their organization. So the very, very, very most important thing that you can do today is to buy this book, even if Nate already sent you a copy. If you've already received a copy, I encourage you to buy the book anyway, because I bet there is someone in your life who could benefit from it and you could gift it to them. So I'm going to ask you right now, even while you're listening to me make this pitch about how you can get involved, go ahead and hop over to bookshop.org. My colleague Kira is going to be putting some links into the chat, and you can shop at your favorite online retailer and buy the book today and give it away. I will be doing that when this session concludes, even though I have 20 copies in my office. The other thing that I would encourage you to do is to write an Amazon review if you've already read the book. Those Amazon reviews are important social proof that can help other readers discover that the book is for them. And I'm thrilled that even before this session, Nate already had 12 amazing reviews. What we'd like to see is that by the end of the week, he has 50, 60, 70, or 100 reviews. And so we need each of you, if you've already read the book, to go ahead and leave a few meaningful sentences on Amazon as a review. I also want to let you know that Nate has some very special bulk purchase deals, offers that he has created. Those end on Friday. So we encourage you to click the link in the chat, find out about the incentives that the Next Element team has for you when you buy this book in bulk for your organization. Now, there may be some of you on this call who have your own podcast, your own newsletter, your own social media following. What we would love is to see all of you invest in sharing this book with your audiences. And particularly if you have a show, would you consider inviting Nate to be a guest on that show? Again, if you are willing to put the book out through your social media channels, it can be as simple as taking a selfie of with the book, getting it out there, giving people the link to where they can find the book, and a sentence or two about why the message is meaningful to you. And if you do that today, we have a very special offer that if you buy a paperback copy today, we have a limited number of free audiobook codes. Nate mentioned that he narrated the book. It's in his own voice. It's a chance for you to have Nate in your head with all of these concepts. So go ahead and order the book right now. Kira is going to put a Google form link into the chat. And when you let us know in that Google form link that you bought the book during this hour, we're going to select some winners to get that free audio book code. So we want to encourage all of you to take action right now. And if you want to let us know in the chat which of these actions you're going to take, we know that you want to be a part of spreading this powerful message in the world. So thank you in advance for the ways that you're contributing, not only by being here with us today, but also by buying the book, reviewing the book, sharing the book, and bringing it into your organization. So now I want to invite you to do something fun. So you may be aware on Zoom that you can toggle between the speaker view and the gallery view. And we have amazing people here. I want to ask you for a minute to just toggle to the gallery view and see the amazing faces of the amazing people who have joined today. We have 3 screens, at least on mine, of names and faces who are supporting this launch and this message. So take a moment to do that. And then I want you to get prepared because Aaron Deckert is going to do a toast for this book. And we're going to allow you to unmute and make some noise for Nate and the Next Element team. Aaron, it's all you.
Thank you. Well, what a great event. So many good things have been said already, and luckily I have more. I will say, be careful if you get the audiobook. I don't know how long you want Nate's voice in your head. That's personal choice, but you decide. No, actually, Nate, I want to say you nailed this. I remember the moment we made the decision to not do a second version of CWC and do this book instead. And once the moment we decided, I just saw diligence, focus, quality work, and in a record time. I think you wrote this book incredibly fast. But not only that, you handled it with such grace, because we were moving so quickly, and a lot of significant feedback from your team, from some reviewers, from editors. Even though everybody liked it, there's always feedback. And I have been amazed more than once at your speed of quality work. And so I really appreciate that as a personal attribute, but also your selflessness in including some of these concepts that we have all truly honed together over the last couple of decades almost. And I really feel like you were speaking certainly from your voice, but as the Next Element team. And so I appreciate that. I know our other team members do too. So here's to you and great success. I know this is probably still just the beginning of your writing career. And we talk about new ideas almost every day. And I'm so proud and honored to not just be your colleague, but to be your friend. So thank you so much.
If you all would like to unmute. Yes.
Yes. Unmute, say, clap, clap, yell, raise your glass, whether it's empty. Cheers.
Cheers, Nathan. Way to go.
Way to go.
Is where we get to drink.
Good job, dude.
Yes.
Amazing. Okay, we are going to shift to a time where we want to make it possible for you to speak to Nate, ask your questions, or offer your congratulations. We want to ask you to use the hand raise function, which is in the bottom of your Zoom panel, and I'll be happy to call on you to share your thoughts and ideas. And I do know that we have Abe Regier, who is set to ask the first question or to bring the first congratulations today. Welcome, Abe.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm Abe Regier, and Nate's my uncle, in case you can see any resemblance. So I've been interested in Next Element's work since the very beginning. First taking the PCM training with the company I worked at, and then later with my wife before we got married. I found the skills to be just incredibly useful, both in my personal life and in professional life, where I've led teams, managed programs. Talking with Nate over the past year, I know how excited he's been about this book, and I was excited to read it, very curious to read it for when it came out. So having read it, I see why he was. Compassionate accountability, as Julie mentioned, had just tons of aha moments for me, concepts that really resonated, things directly relatable to my work, insights around, frustrations I've had or challenges I've had at work, the positive benefits when you show vulnerability and are transparent. And I also think it's just a really cool tool that complements, the learnings from PCM. So it's already been exciting putting these new tools and learnings to work and seeing the results. And congrats, Nate, on the launch of Compassionate Accountability.
You are welcome. Thank you so much. Glad you're here.
Thanks. So I'm looking for anyone with your hand raised. I'd love to call on you. Or if for some reason you're unable to find that hand raise function, you can also feel free to let me know in the chat, and I would be happy to call on you. As another reminder, the chat is a place that we're going to save for Nate as a virtual guest book where he can read your well wishes. So we would welcome you between now and the end of the event to go ahead and put your thoughts there. It looks like Amy would like to speak. I am going to spotlight you, Amy.
Hi, how are you?
Nate, congratulations. It's so nice to see you here with everybody that supported you with this journey. And I agree, this book came out so fast. Nate and I met on Twitter, I think, with Dan Rockwell's and your connection. And it's amazing to think that that led me to take some Next Element training, which Aaron was amazing facilitating. I have to give a shout out to Aaron. And I want to say that, you know, Conflict Without Casualties, that book I have used heavily in my coach practice, and I've seen immediate and powerful impact from the material as an executive coach, really being able to bring people into that whole platform of content. So when you were coming down the road of compassionate accountability, I was super, super excited. And you saw my post on LinkedIn recently. I literally have your book like tabbed in extreme detail. And I am going to be giving all my clients the mandatory read of this book because it's just so powerful. And what I particularly think is really powerful is the checklists inside the book that really tell you where you're at. So I'm really, really, really honored to be here. And then I'm really honored to be able to be on your podcast, which is also a really super high quality show. I was kind of very excited to be a guest twice. And to have a little spot in your book is also an extraordinary honor to talk about peace or performance, which is my mission to the world. So just a joy to be here and congratulations. So happy for you. So happy for you.
Amy, thank you. I know when I met you, I remember thinking, you know, we're all barking up the same tree. We really are. And it's wonderful to partner with so many amazing professionals out there that are trying to make these concepts accessible, actionable, so that they can make a bigger difference in more lives. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. I'm going to call on Glenn next. Welcome.
Glenn.
Can you hear me? All right, fantastic. Well, thank you. Congratulations, Nate. This is fantastic. You know, I'm glad that I have been able to be part of your network and part of the team with regard to the compassionate work and certainly with regard to this book. I truly believe this is going to be a game changer in the DEI space. I think that it really focuses on the humanity that we all bring. Regardless of your dimension of diversity that you demonstrate or show. So I'm really thrilled and excited about the work and sharing it as I engage with organizations around this aspect of diversity, equity, inclusion. It really brings us together and doesn't separate us. And I think those are the strong keys to this work. So I'm really excited for this and excited for you on the launch. I did write a review, so I'm excited about that. And I will also connect with you about a podcast that I think I'd love for you to be part of. So thank you for sharing yourself with the world.
You're so welcome. And Glenn was kind enough to loan his time to do a podcast during COVID when we were just trying to find ways to give helpful resources to people that were struggling. And we came together around conflict and diversity. Thank you so much, Glenn, for that partnership.
Wonderful. Oh, I see Dr. Dennis Reyna has his hand raised. I'll call on him next.
Yes.
Well, Nate, first of all, I just want to say congratulations again. You are definitely an inspiration. You know, we're colleagues in ISA, and it's always so great to connect with you. But more importantly, the message that you're bringing to the world, it's a powerful one. It's clearly an important one, and one that is well both needed and one that is well and deserved at this time in our lives. As you said earlier, there's a lot of healing that needs to happen on the planet, and I think this is definitely a step in that right direction. And then on a personal note, Michelle and I are also celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary next month. We have 2 months. So congratulations to you and Julie for sure.
I'm sure you all are practicing what you preach with trust is one reason why you two are such an amazing couple and have been together so long.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Margaret is up next.
Yeah, Nate, I really am just so happy for you with this book. And when I think about it, it does really reflect your voice. And I just want to say too, as a therapist and working with people, I appreciate you giving the language. That's what I find sometimes people just struggle with, is like, and that's what happens in therapy is I just say something in a certain way and they're like, okay, that's what I need to learn. And I feel like you're laying this out in this book in a way that people who may not go into therapy, but they really need to do that U-turn and come into themselves a little bit more, right? That they can look at this and go like, oh, okay, maybe this is how, here's a path for me to access this more. And I also think you just really helped it make sense and not look weak or mushy or anything like that, to go in and be compassionate. So I appreciate that. I'm already have sent one. I bought one today for my kids. He owns a business and she's a project manager, and I thought they could both benefit from this. So anyway, just congratulations again, and also to you and Julie on your anniversary. That's just awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Margaret and I go way back, and
Way back.
Working at Next Element is pretty much 24/7 self-therapy. So for those who've been part of it, it's hard work. Thanks, Margaret. Appreciate you being here.
So we do have time if a few more of you have questions or comments. It looks like Meredith does. All right.
Hi. So relative newcomer here, Meredith Hollowell. Nate, it was great talking to you. I guess it was back at the beginning of April now. It's been a while, but spoke with you, spoke with Julie, and with Aaron, and it's just been a fantastic experience getting to know the Next Element family. So first off, congratulations. I feel like I'm gonna like bounce all over the place. So many different thoughts, but as always, I just value your words. And one of the things that we talked about early on, why I had reached out to you, was because where I work for the U.S. Forest Service, federal agency under the Department of Agriculture. And we've been doing a lot of work over the last few years with our employee welfare. And we've recently kind of moved into this space about talking about dynamic tensions. And I really feel like compassionate accountability really kind of fills that conversation space around different types of dynamic tensions. In the review that I posted on Amazon, I talked about how it really sort of hit me that it's also kind of another way of thinking about mission accomplishment in relation to employee welfare and how those two work together. And so as a part of that, I think that this is a great opportunity, and I intend to purchase probably about 10 copies, at least to start out, to kind of start maybe even like a book club within my particular region in the Southeast, where leaders within our region start talking about this through the frame of these dynamic tensions. And I think it's a great jumping off point, and I really appreciate you writing it. Because I'm always trying to find ways to bring, PCM and leading out of drama and all of the things that Next Element has to offer to the Forest Service. Because I think that any organization really, like the wisdom that Next Element shares and that your team really teaches and practices is, valuable across the board, as everybody else has shared. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I remember just where I was on I-70 coming back from Colorado when we had our conversation. Yeah. Or maybe I-80. I don't know. I drive those highways a lot.
It was great either way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meredith. So Nate, when we started at the top of the hour, we did a poll and we asked people which is more challenging for them, compassion or accountability. And 80% of us said it was accountability. So I wonder, if you would share with us really briefly, for those who need to increase the accountability side, what's one or two things that we could do today in our organizations to increase accountability?
I think the first thing is to recognize and embrace that accountability is not the opposite of compassion. That accountability is part and parcel of the fullest expression of compassion. We've been saying this for 10 years, that the root of the word compassion means with suffer. It means to struggle with people. And so much of accountability is as if we're struggling against people, trying to get them to do stuff, trying to hold them accountable, somehow punish them or scare them or frighten them or cajole them. And so our biggest thing is you can practice accountability by just getting vulnerable with people and getting alongside them and asking to help solve this problem together. And there's so many examples in the book about what that actually looks like in a conversation, because people say they want the words. And so we've given the words so that you can go pull people closer during conflict instead of move into opposition. And when people do that, it's just amazing, the transformation on the other side.
Thank you for that, Nate. So as we come toward the end of our hour together, what I want to let you know is that we're going to talk a minute again about ways that you can support this book. And then Nate has a closing story that he wants to share with all of us. Then we will officially conclude and stop the recording. But if you want to still have the chance to speak to Nate and you didn't raise your hand before, we will leave the line open for a few more minutes. You can feel free to stay on and unmute and talk with Nate and congratulate Nate. And I do see a hand raised right now, so I'll go to that person before Nate's closing story. Just really quickly to remind you that you are critical to helping Nate and Next Element share this message of compassionate accountability in the world. And there are several ways that you can be of help this week and in the weeks to come. You can buy the book, you can leave an Amazon or Goodreads review or both. You can purchase the book in bulk and take advantage of the deals that are in place until Friday. You can invite Nate to be a guest on your podcast or Instagram Live or, whatever platform you're using these days. You can feature the book on your social media channels or in your newsletter. And we would encourage you to just email Nate directly with any of those opportunities to feature this new book, Compassionate Accountability, on your channels. So thank you in advance. And just a quick reminder also that, that if you do buy a paperback copy today and let us know in the Google form, and that link is in the chat, we're going to select some winners of those free audiobook codes so that you can download the free audiobook and have Nate speaking in your ear about all of these important topics. So I'm going to call on one more special guest. Reminder that if you didn't have the chance to speak yet, you can stay around and we're going to keep the line open. So welcome.
Hi, Nate. Nate, ever since we met, it was at the end of 2015, we took a walk. We took a walk through a rainy, small village in the Netherlands. We walked, I talked, you listened, we shared, we imagined, we reflect, and now you have this book. And for a lot of people, it will be the first time they have a first chance to walk a mile in your shoes, to get to know you and what your compassion can add to the world. And I hope all these people it will bring them also what it brought me. So thank you for this book. Congratulations, and hope to see you soon.
Yelta, thank you so much. You are changing the world in education in the Netherlands. It's unbelievable what you're doing. Thank you for being here. This is where I tell my story. So all the entrepreneurs out there, you probably can relate to the roller coaster that is the life of an entrepreneur. The roller coaster of wondering where the next paycheck's going to come from, or riding the highest highs and then the lowest lows, and weathering recessions and downturns and COVID and one thing after another. There's just no guarantees. And we were really feeling that in the end of 2019. And our team came together and decided we really needed to refresh, review, and update our values as an organization and really figure out, why are we here? What is our why? And I remember we had a retreat up in our living room of our house, and we did a lot of stuff and lots of writing and everything. And there was this moment where what we realized is the same thing is true as from when we started Next Element. Our only goal is to bring more compassion to the world. That is our purpose. And we went so far as to decide that even if that meant giving it away, that it wasn't contingent on income. And as a business, that was a big step for us to realize that we get up every day to find a way to get compassion into everyone's hands to change the world. And 2 months later, COVID hit. And we had no idea how important that mission was going to be, because it sustained us. No guaranteed revenue, everything's falling out. You all know what that was like. But we got up every day trying to solve the problem of how do we get compassion into more people's hands. And this book wasn't written then, but we were trying everything we could do. And then fast forward to a year, about 15 months ago, when Neil reached out and said, it's about time to start thinking about the second edition of Conflict Without Casualties. And we started the process, and we got some new reviews in. I was starting to chew on this. Our team was giving input, and I was going to start working on it. And then the universe just started telling us that compassion and accountability were needed to be reconciled. Coming through COVID, we saw that. And you read about in the beginning of the book with the evolution of compassion and the eras. And we just kept getting these messages that compassion accountability is needed now more than ever. It's trending. We have to shift gears. And I literally called Neil and I said, can we stop the press? I mean, can we stop the press and turn things around? And he said, absolutely, send a new proposal in. And we did. And they embraced it. You heard what Neil said. And it was the fastest book we've ever written, but it was because we'd been preparing for that day. So here it is. And then Neil, we will begin on the next book. And we're already working on the next one too, but that's for tomorrow. So thank you all for being here. It means a lot. And thanks to the team for committing to this mission and getting up every day and showing up for that.